Hey everyone, welcome to The Squad. This is the Park Squad Pod, a podcast where four friends catch up and chat about all things Disney, day-to-day life, and more. My name is Tommy, and I'm your host for today's episode. I'm here with the rest of the squad.
I'm Haley.
I'm Brandon.
And I'm Heidi.
Welcome to episode 13, Q&A Part 2. More questions, more answers. Back in episode 10, we did our first part of the Q&A. We promised there that we would get to the rest of the questions, and here we are. Kind of closing it out and getting through. I think we have 10 left over that we're going to get through today. But before that, a little bit of a squad housekeeping. Just wanted to give everyone an advanced heads up about a little scheduling change that'll occur in May. Starting in May, our episodes will go bi-weekly, so every other week, due to the fact that Brandon is going to be participating in the cultural exchange program this year. Starting, I think, May 12th, 13th?
Yes.
You know better than I do, obviously.
Yeah, this is all my fault, so I'm so sorry. But yeah, we'll have to be doing that just because I don't know my schedule and stuff. But rest assured, once the program's over and we're kind of boots on the ground out in California, things will get back to normal. But yeah, we'll still be bringing lots of fun content for those like 2 episodes every month while I'm down at Disney.
And we should be amping it up maybe even a little bit when we make our return, because we'll have a lot to say in August once we're in California all together.
Yeah,
Exactly.
It'll be bi-weekly up until D23, and then
all
that
episode.
D23 activity, and then we'll be back to our regularly scheduled program. At least that's the plan for right now.
Yeah.
Kind of resuming our weekly drops after D23, and then throughout the rest of 2024.
Well, and this is like something I actually just thought of. So the squad doesn't even know I'm going to say it. But I was just thinking that because like we are always interested in D23 stuff when it happens, and it's like hard to find content, I think, sometimes.
For sure.
So if there's things that you are interested in hearing about, or like you want to know more about the experience or more about the stuff or the process of getting it, let us know so that we can kind of compile like things to look for when we're there and like things that you would be interested in hearing about, because we thought it would be easy to like watch somebody talk about like the process of like buying tickets or like when they go in. So it might be useful for us now that we get to actually experience it to put something together that would be helpful for our listeners.
Yeah, like a little roadmap for any future attendees.
Yeah, as long as it goes smoothly, we'll
And
make detours if not.
And if it doesn't go smoothly, then we'll report back on that as well. I'm sure it'll be exciting either way. Well, great. Now that that's out of the way and everyone's prepared for the change in schedule in May, we can get into our questions for today. The first question, and this one's a little interesting. It's a little in depth. If you could put 3 favorite rides in one park of your choice, what would it be? So I think that you get to pick rides outside of that park and kind of bring them in.
Yeah.
And you get to keep the rides that are already in that park.
I would think so. Yeah, I would think so. I think if one of your favorite rides is at that park, I think it's just a bonus one. So maybe that'll influence what park you choose as well.
Yeah.
This is kind of, this is one I think that a lot can go into this. I know that this question was asked by Brianna over from Brianna Tata. And she wanted to know this because she's always kind of trying to throw like a curveball tough question. So I feel like for me, I guess I can go because I kind of know this answer. Because a lot of my favorite rides are like already in Hollywood Studios. So I would just move Guardians there and then have all of my favorites there. But then I feel bad because then I like really wouldn't have a big reason to go to Epcot, unfortunately, which I guess it is what it is. So my thing is I would move it there and then I would have to kind of, I guess, know where to put it. And I would just take out like an animation courtyard maybe area and kind of make it more like Marvel area with the stuff that they can use with that like Universal like agreement, because my 3 favorite is Guardians, Tower, and Runaway Railway. Those are my 3 favorites. So having all those there is just easy for me to move one instead of moving multiple.
Yep, that makes sense. I feel like that's like
sound.
That's a good answer, and I feel like I started writing stuff down. To be honest, I didn't look at the questions this time, so I didn't have this answer prepared. And that's like what I wrote down is to put Guardians in studios, because the thing is like some of my favorite rides I wouldn't want to move them into other parks because like Flight of Passage is my favorite ride, but I wouldn't move like Guardians into Animal Kingdom because I don't like. I feel like Animal Kingdom just like needs to be safe and preserved,
pure,
like the way that it is. So I feel like I don't even know if I really have a good answer. Like that's different than yours. This question on the spot.
Yeah, like I think that it's just maybe tough because I think that you like the parks for what they are, and obviously the rides that go into the parks are thought out on like Imagineering's part to keep them where they fit. I just think for me, like Hollywood Studios, I love. I know that it's not perfect in like a lot of people's eyes, but to me, Guardians could also fit there, whereas I don't think it would fit in Magic Kingdom or like Animal Kingdom. So I think it's kind of an easier fit for me, and I love Hollywood Studios and all those rides there.
Mhm.
So mine is going like the opposite of how you guys were thinking, where I don't really care if it goes. This is just like a me park, like it's like a Haley park.
Got it.
And
yeah.
so I think that I was in a toss up between putting it in Animal Kingdom or Magic Kingdom, but for the vibes, I think I have to put in Magic Kingdom because I think the vibes are so high. Like it's the park that I like to just walk around the most in, I think, even if it is like the busiest. And then I would put the Safari
Oh,
there. I would put Guardians there. And then my third one, I would put there. I don't know my third ride, but those two for sure would come to Magic Kingdom, I think. Maybe I would put like a Rise of Resistance, like a big heavy hitter, like something that I don't go on often, but I really like. But I think I have to keep the Magic Kingdom vibes and then put those three rides in there, and they don't make sense in any of the park. But I think that it would be like a park where I could spend like literally every day in.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think my brain off the jump goes to kind of just like adding stuff to Animal Kingdom because I think I like being in Animal Kingdom the most, but it just doesn't have the ride factor that some of the others do, which kind of pigeonholes it as more of like a half day or 3/4 day park, and then you kind of get everything done, and then unless you're really in the mood to kind of bop around, it's not there. But it would be a total thematic sacrifice, and you would have to just like deal with the fact that these rides that don't make any sense unless you kind of retheme them all as animals like in this park. So I think Hollywood Studios is probably the best park to import rides to, just because there is so much freedom of interpretation there. Like you could bring in Tron, Flight of Passage, and Guardians of the Galaxy and be like, like it's still movie themed, like it's Hollywood, baby, and just bring those
and like
in.
Tomorrowland theme. Oh, I guess that's never mind.
But,
I'm still on mine. I don't care about your guys's.
So I think if I like had to pick the park, I think Hollywood Studios does make the most sense. And then as long as your ride is themed off of like a theatrical intellectual property, you get to be consistent with the thematic ties of the park as well. But I think it'd be fun to just, I don't know, reskin Guardians of the Galaxy all as animals and be like, it's an Animal Kingdom. What are you talking about?
Can we also bring Harmonious over into Hollywood Studios? All
gladly.
IP.
Yeah,
Like,
put the
honestly.
barges in right behind
Right near the
Gertie.
Skyliner.
Oh yeah.
Oh
sure,
yeah, in the little part.
that works too.
Right by Gertie would be hilarious with the big barges there. And honestly, there, nobody would care if they were there.
No.
'Cause
No,
it's this
seriously.
little
They'd
lagoon.
be
Who
like,
cares?
they've always been there, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I as everyone's talking, it's not my favorite at all, but I decided what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
So I would just take the aquarium portion and like living with the land and everything in Epcot that I feel is like more Animal Kingdom, and I would move that to Animal Kingdom. But it's not my favorite
Even
ride.
it's not your favorite.
And but that's what I would do.
Yeah, because I guess that you wouldn't want like the Hollywood Tower Hotel sticking
No.
in Animal Kingdom or something.
No, I wouldn't want that.
That's
so
fair.
I'm doing my own spin on it.
Love it.
That's what I feel like. I interpreted that question so much differently.
Yeah, I mean, my interpretation changed as as everyone started saying their answers, because my gut was just like, I guess we're just gonna have to deal with Animal Kingdom being a nightmare. I don't know.
Yeah. Never once did I think like, oh, like what would fit in the theme. It's just like, oh, what are your three favorites and what's the park you want them at?
I think that mine was just easy because 2 of my 3 are in Hollywood Studios. So I think then it just was like an easy fit. But I like, Haley, how you just were like, we're going to turn this park into my park. That's way better.
I like that too. Yeah.
Whoops.
All right. Next question. What is your favorite Disney World land? I think when I think land, I specifically think of like the Magic Kingdom lands, but I think you could get away with like a Galaxy's Edge or sort of a Pandora. So any kind of themed area to a specific theme.
I know the one I think is the best themed, but I think it's too small.
Okay.
And so like my knee jerk would be Toy Story Land because I think it's so immersive. But I don't think it's big enough. I think it's like just like a little, it's almost like just a point to get from like one point to the other. So I think my real answer has to be Pandora, just because it feels like such, like it gives you the immersion of that, but then it also gives you like the size part.
Like that's probably yours, no? Something different?
Pandora's mine because I just love it. It just feels like you're actually in a different world, and I feel like I mean, there's a few that I feel like you're actually in a different world, but for me, that's the world that I enjoy the most. So I'll say that one.
Yeah, I think that Pandora and Galaxy's Edge are probably the two most where you feel like you're somewhere different than a theme park like in Orlando. But for me, mine will be Toy Story Land, even if it is maybe not the, like you said, Haley, like a lot going on, like in terms of it being very small. Like I just think that I like the vibe, even if it is hot and all that kind of stuff. I like all of the attractions. I love the store. Like I love the food. I just think that I like the whole vibe, and I do like all of like the little details of like Rex and Jesse up on the top and Slinky Dog. Like I just think that I like everything about it, and I do think that it is probably my favorite. Like if I had to pick a Magic Kingdom one, I'd probably say like a Fantasyland because it's classic, but Toy Story Land's my favorite for sure.
Yeah, Toy Story Land's very strong. I'm gonna go a little bit off the beaten path, and I'm gonna go with the Asia section of Animal Kingdom. So from like Expedition Everest to Yak and Yeti. Yak and Yeti is probably the best restaurant in a park at Walt Disney World.
Mm-hmm.
I think Expedition Everest I underrate a little bit. Whenever we go on there, it's always a ton of fun. And you have like that water theater area, so we can bring back Kite Tails and make that a thing again. And then you just have kind of 3
And the monkeys.
Yeah. There's the monkeys. There's a bunch of good stuff. There's that bar I don't know the name of that nobody's ever at, so you can you never have to wait in line to get a drink.
The one next to Everest.
Yeah. So I think it has everything that you could look for, and if I was trapped in one land, I'd have a lot of different options at my disposal. But
I think that's a great choice, and you have like a lot of strong things that are like kind of silly, like you said. Like there's the bar, but then there's like some of the best bathrooms in Animal Kingdom are right there. I think like right next to the bar before you tuck it away. You've got like ice cream stands. I think you've got everything that you want.
Mr. Kamal and those fries.
Kamal.
They don't have the curry ketchup.
What do they do now?
I was watching Brianna Tata's vlog when she was Animal Kingdom, and they went to Mr. Kamal's and they got the fries, and I was like, oh, cool. We just talked about this ketchup. Like they're going to eat it. It's like a sriracha mayo now.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what it was? Because I know they got rid of stuff, but I thought they kept the ketchup or whatever.
Which now I can't bring it to Magic Kingdom and have them on the egg rolls.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
We're gonna have to source it from someone else. We're gonna have to go to
bring it from Publix.
Yeah, we're gonna have to go to Cheesecake Factory, get cheeseburger egg rolls, and steal the sriracha mayo or ketchup from there or something.
That's funny.
Yeah, that was a fun one. This next one is a little bit different, which I think is a good question, and it's more relevant than ever, really. How do you budget for a Disney trip with inflation? And this person added on, it is so hard with a family of 3. I can only imagine it's hard for just the 2 of us. If you were to add another individual in the mix, I'm sure it only gets trickier.
And if we're putting honesty on the table here, we don't really budget for it.
Yeah,
we have to now because we didn't for so long. So like I don't ever want anybody to like go back in our vlogs and be like, oh my gosh, like what tricks do they know? We don't know any tricks. It's just that we like get into the Disney bubble, and it's just I like sent Tommy like a reel today, I think, about how like you budget until you step foot, or it's like summertime, and then it's like rich, whatever.
Yeah. So definitely take any advice that we give with a grain of salt, because it's
except that now we really are starting to, I think.
Yeah, but it's been used in theory, but not necessarily in practice, at least for us personally. But
yeah, I think that hotel is a huge thing, and I think the 4 of us are kind of all on the same page about that one. Where I don't feel like it's worth, like if you're going to Disney World, stay at, as long as you don't mind taking the bus, like stay at the Value.
Yeah.
I think that like with a family where like you're really like having to watch what you're spending, like if it's on your mind at all, I think taking a cut on where you're staying, especially if you have little kids, is the first place that I would cut corners as far as spending goes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you can rack up like $100 a day at least by switching options. So
at least.
Yeah, for sure. I think on our end for us, like, again, like I think that we can preface this by saying like our situations is we're both still students.
Yeah.
So we both have done now since we've been together in 2019, like, and then there's also those kind of pandemic years, but we've done a trip every year, like except for those pandemic times. So I think for us, it's one of those where we really value, I think, like, and I think that you guys are the same, where we like experiences and doing things. And I think this is our big experience every year is a trip. So sometimes we do have to forego like and sacrifice other things like during the year, like other things that we could be doing.
Yeah. So it's like not necessarily like we obviously make decisions while we're there that like help us save money, but a lot of it is kind of like the behind the scenes of like day to day, like groceries and like things that you can like make decisions on, or even like not doing as many things necessarily that cost a lot of money, like while we're at home, so that we can then use that money and be like, okay, we're going to go on a trip.
Yeah. And I also think that, like we still do like a lot of things. I just think that it's also different if you're comparing different situations, like to Tommy, how you said, like a family going would be way different, because you'd have to think of different ways that you can maybe budget like in that way. I think for us, again, like you said, Haley, like in terms of the hotel, like that's a big thing. You love eating quick service food, so that's a way that we kind of also cut, where we don't really do like big sit down meals. But I also think like it also comes down to also like souvenirs and different things. Like obviously for kids, like I worked in merchandise, so knowing that there are lots of things that maybe are expensive but not as worth it of a souvenir, I think there's just like a lot of ways that you can really kind of cut down costs on stuff, you know what I mean? Like, and of course everybody's situation is very different, but
and I will say, like, because I feel like it's good to be like honest about like when you watch videos and they're like, oh, how are people going on trips? We've been very fortunate that like Brandon was a cast member last year, so like he had like discounts and was able to get tickets and things like that. So it's easy to kind of like see a scenario and be like, oh wow, they spent like this amount of money. But we've had like that experience, and then we also had like kind of trips where people were fortunate enough to like kind of like help us out, and we stayed with friends and things like that. So for us, it's like things that maybe aren't like necessarily like tips that we can give, because like obviously like you being a cast member is not realistic for someone. But I just wanted to be honest with that, because like I feel like people might not know that.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Well, and I think like what Heidi was saying, like having to kind of sacrifice some day-to-day things, like that's kind of where we're at right now when we're planning for Disneyland, because this is like probably one of the biggest trips that we had to budget for, because we don't live in driving distance. Like we need a plane ticket and all of those things. And so sometimes like Tommy and I will think about getting something like getting a bowl from Chipotle, and then we go and we put it in perspective of what it could be at Disneyland. So we're like, this could be like a popcorn bucket and a snack at Disneyland. Is this worth foregoing that for this meal here? And our answer is almost always no. And so I think that that's helpful. And then I think if you have little kids, and I think I've mentioned this before in one of our episodes, buying souvenirs that aren't from Disney, like you can buy them at Walmart, you can buy them at CVS. Like there's places that you can buy them, and then packing them, especially if you have little kids, like packing them with you and then bringing them out when you roll by Brandon at the souvenir cart, instead of like pulling over and buying them, be like, oh, wow, look what I already got you. And then they're in the parks getting a new toy that is Disney themed, but you don't have to spend $30 on a stuffed animal. You can spend $12. So I think like making cuts there is good. And then the last thing I wanted to tell is that when Tommy and I first started going to the parks, like we were on a budget. Like we were using every nickel and dime that we had to go. And like, I mean, not like we could pay our bills, but when we went, there was no money for food. We could not eat quick service. Like we literally couldn't even afford quick service. So we used to stay off property. We didn't stay on property, I think, until the pandemic. Right before, maybe?
I think the year before. I think it was 2019.
And so we used to go to Publix. We stayed at a hotel that was within walking distance of a grocery store. And so the first day we got there, we would check in. We would walk to Publix. We would get sandwich bread. We would get turkey, tomato, lettuce, and then Ziploc bags. And so when we went to the park the next day, we would pack like the bread in a bag so it stayed dry. And then we would pack all of the wet stuff in a bag, and then go to quick service, and we would get the little packets of mustard and mayonnaise from quick service. And then when we were in a line, the one I remember is when we were at Universal, we were standing in line for Jurassic Park.
Yep, the river ride.
And so Tommy like put his backpack around on his front, and he like unzipped it, and I had the bread, and I was going bread, mayo, turkey, cheese, like blah blah blah, like a whole full sandwich. And I remember this group of like college age guys being like, that's the smartest thing I've ever seen. But if you like just packing one meal a day, or like getting granola bars or bagels where you can eat it, will save you, especially a family of 3. Like that alone for breakfast saves you $30 a day. And that's being generous. That's saying you're only spending $10 on Mickey waffles, which generally isn't the case. And if you can do it for lunch, that's probably saving you, I don't know, $50 to $60 just by eating something that you've packed yourself instead of buying it from the mouse.
And it can be tempting to kind of like when you're at the parks, especially want to do everything and, you know, eat all your meals at the parks or whatever. But yeah, like those turkey sandwiches were even way more memorable than any
Yeah.
kind of like chicken finger and French fry or piece of pizza lunch that we would have bought. So, not only were we saving money, but it was like kind of like a
Making
fun thing to do
memories.
as well, right? Yeah, it's just kind of one of those things where it's kind of like a twofer because you get to cut the costs and, use the money that would cost you one meal in the parks to, pay for 3 meals or whatever from a grocery store. But also it's, that funny thing to look back on. So.
And I do have kind of a lot of opinions on this topic because I feel like I'm on one end of the spectrum or the other, where like I really feel like I have to be budgeting or I just like forgo it all. Like I'm like very black or white. And I just actually thought of it because like everyone knows, we're going to Disneyland, and my knee jerk is like I go on Pinterest and I look at Disneyland outfits and I do this, and then I go and I'm like, okay, what do I need to buy? And the answer is nothing. And so like my goal for the next like couple of months is going through all of the clothes in my closet and making 10 to 15 outfits that I would enjoy wearing to Disneyland, and then really looking at like if I'm missing a pair of jean shorts, or like only buying necessities that I'm going to rewear instead of consuming just because the internet is like shows me a cute outfit doesn't mean I have to have it. Like I can make it in my own way. And I think that that's really hard with media, like recently social media. It's so hard not to try and be like the it girl or do everything you want, or like as a parent watch these parents like going to Bippity Boppity Boutique and spending $350, but like you can go to a garage sale and get a dress and your kid will be just as happy. Like I think that there's a lot that you have to put blinders on, especially like I was talking about, like Disney there's so much to consume that I think is really hard to, like, you feel left out if you don't get to do it. So I think it's really hard not to want to like get new things and do the best of the things all the time.
Yeah, I think it's like important to remember that like you're planning your vacation, right? You're not planning a vacation to kind of mirror anybody else's. You need to plan what works for you, and you're going to end up having the best time if you do that. And if you put in kind of some additional planning, like we talked about, or just really do some prioritization and determine these are the things that I really want to do, and here's where we maybe can cut corners, and that way you can do like a really cool experience, like a Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique or a cool dining experience or whatever, because you didn't eat the 4 meals worth of chicken tenders from Cosmic Rays or whatever, and you ended up making that back in that way. So,
or you don't have to, and I don't think you'll ever look back at your trip and be like, gosh, I wish that I had bought that Loungefly, or gosh, I wish that like I don't think that I think any Disney trip is magical, whether it's on a budget or not. The fact that you can be there is like an amazing thing.
Yeah, like I think that it's just like how Tommy said. I think it like obviously depends on your situation, your situation, but I do think people kind of going into Disney vacations, which obviously like it is expensive, but I think sometimes people think that it's like not achievable. And I had this conversation with a parent like at the daycare the other day, and I said it's like it honestly is very like achievable if you like plan it and you actually think about it, because like maybe certain people have to save for 10 years or 2 years or 1 year, like, or whatever it is. But no matter what the kind of, I guess, kind of like
timeline is.
Yes, like it'll be great. So I just think that if you don't, like you said, Haley, compare it to other people because everybody's very different. Like I do think that it's achievable to have just like honestly like the best time ever, no matter what.
And it's not going anywhere.
No.
Like you said, if it takes you 5 years to get there, like it will still be there, and there will probably be cooler stuff than there is now.
It'll be amazing. Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Gosh, we had a lot. I had a lot to say. I wasn't expecting it.
Hopefully that was pretty helpful. But I think at the end of the day, any Disney trip is a great Disney trip, like Ian said, regardless of the budget associated.
I like it.
Next one. This one, I don't know. This one I had to think about a little bit earlier. I took a sneak peek, but if you could have one OG Disney ride come back, what one would it be?
Oh, I know mine.
Go for it.
It's the Great Movie Ride.
That's what I kind of figured.
And like, it's not like I want Mickey and Minnie's to be gone. I just want it to go somewhere else. And I understand why we can't have the Great Movie Ride. But I think even if they took it and just like rethemed the movies inside so that they had rights to them, would have been really cool. And I think that I miss cast interactions, like acting in the rides. And I thought it was so Hollywood Studios. So that is mine.
You know yours, I think. Don't you? I know yours. I think so.
Mine. I don't.
You've talked about this because it's one that people I think don't love or want really to come back, but you always like it and talk about it
What is
with
it?
like burping in your face and stuff.
Oh, I forgot about that ride. Stitch's Great Escape.
Is that
Ride
yours,
ever.
or I'm fully
No,
off?
well, that wasn't mine, but actually, I would like that to come back. I couldn't think of one. That's the only ride that I've experienced that's not in the
like
parks
an
anymore.
an older one.
Older
Yeah.
one. So yeah, I could say that one, but I wrote one that's not really a ride, but I wrote down Harmonious because I would like that to come
Absolutely.
back.
Bring the barges back.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
let it count.
Yeah.
Bring them back.
Yeah, bring the barges back.
I think for me, like I've kind of realized I'm not a nostalgia Disney parks person, which like I know that people are, and I could be criticized for that on here, but I just like new stuff. And I think that Disney has so many strong brands, IP, characters, and ideas that I'm not one of those people that like I just love new things. Obviously, did I love Great Movie Ride? Yes. I love Mickey and Minnie's though, and I think that it's like so Disney. Like if we could keep everything, I would love to keep it, but I just am not like one of those people where I'm like, I miss the old test track or I miss whatever. I'm just not that person. So for me, mine would be Harmonious, which isn't a ride. I think that there have been things like Harmonious that Disney gets rid of that they shouldn't, and other things that stay around that could go. And I guess it's because Harmonious didn't have the like nostalgia play, but I could think of like a long list of things that if I could update or put something new, I would do. And I just think that again, like things will always change. Of course, there'll be stuff that will always be around, but I'm just not the biggest ever like Disney parks nostalgia person because I don't have those big memories of when I was a kid of like all of these like Ellen's Energy Adventure and stuff like
that's
that.
my runner-up.
Is it? Okay, sorry.
Don't say it in that voice, Brandon.
But I'm going to say I don't know anything about it. So for
There's
me,
lots of dinosaurs in there.
There we
It's
go.
cool.
I can't come into this and say that I miss certain things because I don't really know what I would like necessarily miss. I'm so sorry, Haley, for throwing that one.
Ellen's Energy
I
Adventure.
agree. I mean, there are people that get on the internet and yearn for Kitchen Cabaret and what's the other one? Body Wars. Like, really? Like,
Yes.
are we really like? We really need to bring those back. So I'm in a similar.
Yeah, veggie, fruit, or whatever.
I mean, like,
Yeah.
I'm in a similar boat. Like, and I get it. And maybe it is just like a timing thing where if I was of a certain age, at a certain time, and I went and experienced these things,
Careful.
it would have been even like the age you go to the parks, right? I think because like most of the stuff I remember from a kid is like still there. So I think, yeah, maybe if I was, just in that group that, went on stuff and now it's gone, maybe I would kind of be sitting around, being like, oh, I wish that this was still here. But yeah, if you ask me this question in a year, it'll be Dinosaur because Dinosaur is well on its way out. It's a dead ride walking. So yeah, subject to change, kind of bookmark that for whenever it does go the way of the dinosaurs. But I think my one for this question will be the Magic Kingdom like gondolas. And it doesn't need to be the exact thing, but I would just love, I think like Six Flags Great Adventure in New Jersey has it, but I would love some sort of like gondola lift ride where you could just go up and overlook.
Like Hershey Park has it.
Is it Hershey Park?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I know that it's in some of those Northeast ones. But yeah, kind of just like a one to look over. And then like every year when you go, you get to go and like see what's changed. Now, like there's Tron and you can see that at Magic Kingdom and like the expansion and stuff like that. I think
Like
that
the
would be really
People
cool.
Mover.
Yeah. Kind of like the People Mover,
Yeah.
but kind of more spread out and more outside and a little bit higher.
When you said gondola first, I thought like Italian gondola, like
Like a boat.
like rowing.
Oh yeah, no, like a sky gondola.
Yeah, like
that's
a
what it's
ski
called,
gondola.
right?
Yeah, it is. But that's where I thought, because I think also Magic Kingdom used to have those. They had like boats, like paddle boats,
Oh,
like
yeah.
in the
I think
like
so.
Oh, and the whatever, yeah,
in front of the castle, like
yeah,
the moat.
canal, yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so that's what I thought you were talking about at first, and I was like, "Whoa, we're throwing it way back," but you still
I-
threw it way back.
That kind of be sick. But yeah,
Yeah.
no, I'd never experienced the gondola system, and I think it would be cool. I think it'd be cool to like get in the corner, I don't know, near like Frontierland or whatever, and ride at Caddy Corner across the park. I think it would be a really cool experience and bring a lot to the table. But
And they have the Skyliner. They know how to
They
do
do.
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
just extend the Skyliner and stick it over Magic Kingdom too.
I honestly think that this is an easier question for me if it was like, what OG rides do you want to get rid of? I could
Yes,
rifle
me
off.
too.
I could give you a whole list, and I won't do it here because everybody's going to be like, "Get this guy off this podcast."
I mean,
But
we
I
could.
We
just,
watched a vlog this morning, and Small World came up, and Tommy just wasn't even watching and just does a big thumbs
Like,
down at the screen.
I'll go like this. I could like literally write down so many and submit it to Mr. Bob and say, "Here's what I would recommend." But I think if I had to pick one, I guess now, like I guess kind of think about it, is any of like the older dark rides, like that Snow White one, which I know is at Disneyland. I know that Magic Kingdom had it, like, and I just love a dark ride. But yeah, I guess that's my
I would bring
crossover.
bring back the Sorcerer Mickey hat middle of.
Or
Yes.
make the
Hollywood
hand,
Studios.
the hand too. Just update the year
I
every single time.
agree. The
Agreed.
hand is so
2024.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah, I agree.
make it as kitschy as possible.
Yes, that's what we want. Like we're not coming for like I don't know. We're coming for those kind of aesthetics. I
Yeah.
think at Disney.
Yeah,
I
the dark
agree.
rides are good choices. Those dark rides
I
are
agree.
still good. I am definitely one, as listeners will know, I'm kind of out with the old sort of a lot of times, but the dark rides are still good. I think
I
that
love 'em.
they maintain like all of their charm.
Some of them. I'm excited to see your opinion on some of them, Brandon, in Disneyland, because I think some you're gonna be
weird.
like, get them out of here.
They're really
get them
weird.
gone.
Yeah, like I think that my friend Lucy rode Mr. Toads, and her face at the end was just like stunned and like
I'm excited for that
what
one and
else?
Pinocchio.
Yeah.
Pinocchio's bizarre. Yeah,
You're gonna be afraid, Heidi, of Pinocchio.
it definitely. Yeah, you get off and you're like, what just happened?
Both of them. Yeah, you get off and you have to take like 35 seconds to just like
Like
What?
recenter yourself. Like, where am I again? But it'll be fun. I'm looking forward
That's
to it.
funny.
that was a good question.
Yeah, it was a good question, and it's tough for us, like I said, because none of us are old enough to like remember a lot of the park openings because we were
No.
either not born or very young.
But I did like Ellen's
Awesome.
Energy Adventure. We went and I didn't know they were like thinking about getting rid of it.
Yeah, it was cool. It was fine.
It was too
It was fine.
long,
It was
and
too
Guardians is obviously a better choice for that space.
Yeah.
But it had some cool stuff in it. But I think it was one of the ones where like it didn't like you didn't know there was going to be dinosaur animatronics in there.
Yeah,
Right, that
Yeah, it
makes sense,
definitely.
yeah.
I was like, oh, like I thought it almost was gonna be like a theater show with Ellen DeGeneres. But
Yeah.
it was cool. It was cool. It's sponsored by like ExxonMobil or something like that.
I'll go watch a ride through for you, Haley.
Yeah,
and
I'm
see
sure
what I
that'll
Thanks.
be really exciting. Next question, similar kind of vein, ride specific. What is an underrated or most underrated ride at Epcot?
Ooh.
Epcot.
I have mine. I can start. if
Go
you
ahead.
want. I think it's Remy's Ratatouille Adventure. I think it's a really, really fun trackless ride. I think they like nailed the movie theming. It's a movie that a ton of people like. They like really crush the shrinking down to the size of the mouse. The ride vehicle is super cute. It's tucked away, so it's not like in the middle of anything. It doesn't disrupt the flow of World Showcase. It presents good merchandising opportunities. They sell crepes back there as part of the addition. I think it's a good ride, and I think the fact that it came out after some of the other trackless rides, it kind of gets overlooked. And now that it's sharing a park with Guardians, it's just totally a afterthought. But I think if it came out a little bit earlier, and even maybe at a different park, it would be like, oh, this is awesome for like 2 years until something new came out.
I feel like it's not underrated though. I feel like people like it.
Oh, really? I think people don't.
Yeah.
Like it. I think people
I think
rank
people
it like
do
when
like
they
it.
rank Epcot, they rank it like at the bottom.
That's crazy because Epcot doesn't have much going
That's
for
what
it.
that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
Yeah.
people out
Um,
here talking about living with the land over Remy's Ratatouille Adventure.
No, I have mine now that you were talking about it is Three Caballeros. Even though I'm like pro theme it to Coco,
Yeah.
I think that it's a totally underrated ride. I think it's crazy that most of the time it's a walk on.
Yeah, it's fair. I think, which again, I swear I'm not an Epcot slanderer. I think Epcot has very overrated stuff versus underrated stuff. Like, yeah, like all of the classic ones that we all know that I don't like Living with the
Spaceship
Land
Earth.
and Spaceship Earth. I think that if
Glenn
they tried to
Close
get
and
rid of those,
Spaceship Earth.
yeah, people would be like tying themselves to those things if they were going to get rid of them. But I think that I'm with Tommy. I think that like Ratatouille, in terms of those like trackless dark rides, I think people would have the lowest in terms of like Rise and Runaway Railway. And I do think even if it does have a high weight, I think it's because Epcot doesn't really have much like there. So I do think that for me, it'd be that or Three Caballeros, because I was going to say Frozen, but Frozen's always busy. So I think that you can't say it's underrated.
Appropriately rated.
Yeah.
This is hard because I feel like I agree with Brandon that like most things are just like
They're kind of like
they're
whatever.
overrated, or like Haley said, they're kind of like appropriately rated. So I'm gonna go with this one, which I don't know if I really feel this way, but I wanted to have a different answer than everyone else. I think Soarin' is maybe a bit underrated
Yeah.
because people like really talk about like Living with the Land and like all those ones, which I think are like not as good of a ride as Soarin'. And I feel like ever since Guardians came out, then Soarin' kind of got like pushed on the back burner as like people used to really like Soarin'. So I'll say that one, but honestly, I think it's also like kind of on the cusp for just being like
I like that
appropriately
answer
rated.
though, because I think that like ever since like Avatar's come, I think
Gotcha.
people then really knock it down. But it is so good and so fun. Like it's a good pre-show, a good ride. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I think Soarin' was like one of the things at the parks where people are like blown away,
Mhm.
like late 2000s, early 2010s, and then now it's kind of just shuffled toward the middle, but it still like really holds up. So
Yeah.
definitely overlooked.
Nice one.
Thanks.
Cool. Next question. It just says favorite Disney resort. I don't know if we want to keep it like Walt Disney World as a resort, Disneyland resort, Tokyo Disneyland resort,
I
or
think
like
it's a place
individual
to stay.
hotels as well. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
that's
I
kind of
think
how
it's
I
a place
interpret it
to
as
stay.
well.
Like,
So maybe
yeah.
hotels or kind of resort areas within Walt Disney World. Favorite
Nice.
one.
Yeah, I wish that I have stayed at more
Yeah.
Mhm.
because I think I would have more input on it. But I think as a whole, Animal Kingdom Resort is my favorite resort. I think that it offers so much. I think it's the most interesting deluxe resort, and I think it's the one that's like worth the money the
Yeah.
most. I don't know that I think it's worth the money, period, but I think it's
Yeah.
the most worth the money out of all of the deluxe resorts if I were to pick one to stay. But it is really far out of the way. That's the
Yeah.
only thing that hurts it, I think. So if you don't have a car, I think it hurts it a little bit. But I think that would have to be mine.
Yeah, I think that's a good pick. I would stay there, like at that hotel, even if it was totally independent from like Disney. If
Yes.
someone was just like, "Hey, there's a
Yeah.
hotel where you can stay on a safari," I'd be like, "Yeah, sign me up. Let's do it."
I think that I'm super basic when I think about this because I'm like, I don't need much. Like I like which this isn't, I guess, obviously, like I think that our stay at Animal Kingdom Lodge was my favorite stay, but if I had to pick one every time, that I would say that like my vibe is so high, like it is Pop Century because I love like coming off the bus and getting your mug and all the kids are there and I feel very Disney. I love the Skyliner. Like we're not like in our room often. So like I think for me, if I had to say to someone what's my favorite, like it would be that one because we stay there the most. I love the vibe there. But I do think in terms of like a higher end one, that Animal Kingdom would be the one. But my last program, we walked around to every one. Like we walked around to every resort. We did all of the little modes of transportation and stuff. And I do think that Disney has a lot of good resorts. I obviously haven't stayed at them all, like nowhere close to them. But I do think that Polynesian and those kind of ones where it's like a different vibe, where you don't really feel like it's just a standard hotel, I think is a very fun thing. Whereas like other deluxe ones, like the Grand Floridian, like it does kind of just feel like a country club hotel. Whereas like Polynesia and Animal Kingdom Lodge, I think feel very different and unique to Disney, if that makes sense.
So you like that better?
I guess. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Mine is Animal Kingdom Lodge as well. I feel like that one will just forever have a special place in our heart because we got engaged there. So I feel like now I just have to say like it's the best. But I do see what you're saying, Brandon. Like if you're thinking about it like as a whole, like I love the Skyliner and I think that it adds so much value, but I also haven't stayed at like
Other ones, we haven't,
like at Riviera or whatever.
Yeah, Caribbean
like,
Beach or stuff like that.
Yeah. So like would that be like the same? I guess like in certain scenarios, maybe not because you're paying more. And if you like don't find it valuable, but like if the price tag wasn't on it, I guess like what's your favorite? I don't know.
I just like all the kids running around and going to get my thing in the pop. Like, I don't know. I just think that it's to me very Disney, which other people I know don't like that. So for me, like, I just know that it's a Disney vacation when I'm at Pop Century or somewhere like that, because I do think that it just has a lot to offer, but for us, like, we're also not big resort people, which I'm sure like at some point will change, that we'll go to more. Yeah. But I did also love our stay at Coronado. I thought that's a fun resort.
Yeah. Coronado. It's great. Yeah.
Because I was going to say that I think that because Art of Animation, I think is like my favorite vibe.
Yeah.
Like if money was an object, but it doesn't have a sit down restaurant, which I think really hurts it because it is a value. So I think but Coronado has so much good food.
It does.
And I think that is huge on my list for me. So I think that one was like right behind Animal Kingdom Lodge. And food wise, I think it beats it because I think that there's more interesting options. Because really Animal Kingdom Lodge has Boma, which like is a good, but it's buffet.
Yeah. It's very much,
and then they have Jiko, which we haven't been to.
Right.
And Sanaa. And that's it.
Yeah,
and I think
that bread service though.
I know. But you could go to Nomad Lounge and get a similar one. But I think that Coronado for the food, and that's like probably number one on my Disney priorities. Sometimes I think that Coronado is the top.
Yeah, I definitely want to experience some more of the food at Coronado Springs, namely Rick's for those little chicken and waffle Mickey boys. Those look good. And I also want to do Three Bridges. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, that's the one
in the middle
where
of the lagoon or whatever. They have some great looking appetizers. The one I wanted to talk about here, and I don't know if it's technically my favorite, so I'm cheating the question a little bit, but Disney's Caribbean Beach Resort has had an absolute stranglehold on my brain for like years now. I have no idea why. Maybe it's just because we go over it on the Skyliner so often.
And they play the steel drums and tell you about all
I
the
don't know.
places.
Like whenever we're in there, I really like it. I think like the bright colors do a really effective job of transporting you to where you're not feeling like you're in the middle of Central Florida. You feel like you're a little bit tropical.
Yeah.
We walked the kind of the entire duration of it from the Skyliner hub to the Riviera. I don't know, like probably like 5 years ago at this point.
It's like right when the Skyliner opened.
Yeah, and that was like a great walk. So I think like if you were to get a room in the middle of that resort and you're kind of equidistant walks from the sort of turnstile to take you to Epcot on the Skyliner, the hub to take you to Hollywood Studios, like I think there's some cool restaurants. We went to I don't remember the name of the bar.
That pool bar was
Banana
good,
Cabana.
Oh, yeah, we did.
Banana Cabana. I think.
Banana Cabana. That was good. Like that was a lot of fun. The vibes were high there. The pools are great. So yeah, that's definitely one. I think Coronado Spring was the old one that had a stranglehold on my brain for no reason, and this is the new one. So it's just going to be keeping me awake at night until we finally check it off the list. And like I said, I've never really stayed there.
We've never even looked to stay
So
there. This stranglehold can't be that hard because we have gone to Disney a zillion times and we have not once looked at a room here.
No, I'm not like obsessed, but it's just my mind will wander and I'll be like, Caribbean Beach Resort. I don't know why. Like I said, it's unquestionable things going on in my head. But yeah, I think it looks really cool. And maybe I'll stay and I'll be like, oh, this kind of stinks, and I'll be disappointed.
I stayed there, which
Yeah,
I
you
always
did
forget.
stay
I
there.
always forget that I stayed there when I
When you
went
were
to
younger.
when I went to Disney for the first time. That's where we stayed. And I remember we stayed in like it was like a Pirates theme room. I don't know what the theme of the rooms are now, but it was like really cool because it actually felt like you were like in a pirate trip, and the pool is really cool. And I really like how like you can kind of walk through the resort. And even though I was young at that time, like I was in high school and stuff, I ran at that time, so I like would run in the morning like around, and it was like super nice. And they have like the little like fake kind of water in the middle with like the sand, and they have like little hammocks. So I feel like it's like a resort that's like the vibes are good.
Well, I wanted to stay there my night before the check-in for my program, and then instead,
price.
guess where I'm staying? The All Stars, because the price. So I was like,
oh,
those are those budget cuts we had to make.
I was like, maybe I'll change it up, and my night before, like I'll stay at Caribbean Beach. No, All-Star Resort.
Absolutely. It's the best bang for your buck, especially if it's
really
just
is.
to get you to the next day.
Yeah.
Those hotels are cool. I would rank those hotels in the upper half of Walt Disney World like hotels.
Well, we haven't been to a lot of them because I thought the same way. Like last year, we went with Tommy's parents and we stayed at Port Orleans Riverside. And I think that that's one that I don't think I would have ever picked.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's not like super heavily themed. And when I go to Disney, that's like kind of what I want. I either want it to be bougie or I want it to be like really heavily themed.
Mm-hmm.
And it was awesome.
Magnolia
I
Bend
like,
or whatever across the water as well. I think it's called Magnolia Grove, something. The one that looked like kind of old Southern style column houses across
they
the
look
way.
like sorority houses.
Yeah, they look like SEC sorority houses. Those are really cool too. But yeah.
But like we did like a tandem bike and we like went through that whole resort.
That's
so
fun.
I think that like I do think that Disney resorts are, I don't think you can really go wrong. Like I don't think you're ever going to go to one and be like, ugh, like that was terrible. And so I think that, I don't know, like I would want, my bucket list is to eventually stay everywhere.
Yeah, we love them all. Every single one is our favorite.
There's no wrong answers. Yep. Speaking of hotels, what is the squad's dream hotel room on Disney property? I don't think this one's Walt Disney World specific. I think you can branch out if you want. I don't have a ton outside of the US, but
well, I know my Walt Disney World one with the squad.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, the bungalows at the Polynesian.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The four of us sitting in the hot tub with the music piped into the fireworks. Are you kidding me? There's no higher vibes on the planet than that.
Yeah, it'd be pretty good.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. I don't know anything about, like you said, Tommy, of like other parks. Like I feel like for me, just anything overseas, because then it means that we'd be overseas.
That's good. Yeah, that's a good.
Yeah. Shanghai's are bougie, aren't they?
Yeah, like I think that's bougie. And isn't there like a new Paris one that they're doing for?
Where's the really bougie Paris
for Fantasy Springs? They're doing like a new, aren't they? Like a new hotel out there.
Like
I'm not sure.
Like, isn't that the one that has like the shoe, like Cinderella's shoe?
I think, or something.
It's
it's
like
very
you're like
intricate.
literally in like a royal castle.
Yeah.
somewhere.
So I would say those kind of ones, obviously, because then it means that we're going over there. But if it's Disney
Cinderella's
World,
castle, actually.
yes. Yeah, that'd be a great one. Yeah, like I do think that it is the Polynesian ones. I also would love to stay one time at the Contemporary, which I know like isn't like a dream place, but I just think it's really cool how like the monorail goes inside. Like I like the like Incredibles theming and that kind of stuff, but I do think that the bungalow is the right answer. We could just be bougie with some drinks and some good food, sitting there having a great time.
Pretty, yeah.
Yeah.
My other one that I really want to do, but I feel like is not really. It'd be one of those times where like you're not really going to the parks that much, which I feel like we'll never do. Is like I really want to stay in a cabin, but I know that
That'd
like,
be
there's
fun.
barely not even any Wi-Fi in those cabins, so
It
I
would
don't
be
know
great.
like how the vibes would be. But
It's
I
fun.
really want to stay at one of those.
If we ever did like we've talked about doing like Run Disney together, I think that cabins would be like a perfect place to do
great.
Run Disney together.
Yeah,
That
for
would be
sure.
good.
Book it.
Okay.
Put it on the books. And I also think like not like leaving Walt Disney World, the Tokyo Disney Sea, because you can stay essentially in the park.
Yeah.
Right,
Like
yeah.
you overlook like into the park. I think that one would be awesome.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say I really, really loved the room that we stayed in our honeymoon for at what's it called? It was Paradise Pier at the time. Now
Yeah.
Pixar Pier. I think
It's
it's
room 1, 2, 3,
1, 2, 3,
4.
4. Yeah, where it kind of overlooked DCA, which was really cool.
Cool.
And I think there are, I should say, rooms in the Grand Californian that overlook DCA as well, I would think, because it's like right pushed up against that park. So I think anytime that, yeah, you can kind of look out your window and see the hustle and bustle of the parks,
Mhm.
whether it's from, Pixar Pier or the Contemporary or whatever, I think that that's, one of those things where it can't get much better
Yeah,
than
if
that.
you can watch the fireworks from some point at your
Mhm.
resort, it's like
Pretty
Aren't
much.
we also booked and loaded for that Universal?
I was gonna say this said Disney, but that
I
Epic
know,
Universe,
but I'm saying
absolutely,
that-
that's on my
I'm
list
pretty
of
sure
Grand
this is like a
Hyperion Hotel or
throwback.
something like that,
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah, that's
throwback.
on my short list of if I could pick anywhere on theme parks to stay, it's
Yeah,
on
there
there.
we go.
The one where you just walk into the park at any time of the day.
Yeah.
That's what we think, at least. Yeah, you just get free. You get free access all day long, 24/7.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'll jump to our next question because we're already kind of talking about it a little bit. If you could pick any new resort to stay at for your next trip, which would you pick?
Hmm.
Well, I know Tommy's.
Yeah. Seriously, yeah. No, I think that would be so fun. And I don't know, anywhere like those modders, I feel like it's just like the perfect balance
Yeah.
of, what you're getting. Because Coronado like blew us away, and I expect sort of all this to kind of be similar. Same with Port Orleans.
I'm assuming this question is new resort to us. Yes?
Right.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that I would pick, which again, is this realistic that I'm able to afford to stay there? Because if it is, it's probably like Pop Century once again, which is not new. But I would say that if it was anything, like I really do want to stay at Polynesian. I love every time that we go there. Like, and I feel like of all of those kind of like upper ones, to me, like I feel like that I would like that one or a Wilderness Lodge. Like
Mm.
I like that whole vibe there. But I think that if it would be for a whole trip, like for me and you, like I would stay in a cabin. I think it'd be so fun. We could do hoop-de-doo. We could have a great time there. That'd be a fun time.
Agreed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they have a good burger at Wilderness Lodge, right? I saw a TikTok about that, and then now I want to stay there too. That's gonna be the next one on my stranglehold list.
There we go.
Mine, as far as any Disney resort, like new resort, would be Alani.
Oh, good one.
But that's like
That makes sense.
not in the parks, but that would be my one. But I do think like the person who asked our first question, Brianna Tata, I just like literally tore through all of her latest
Yep.
trip vlogs today. And I was kind of a Polynesian, not a hater because we go to the Polynesian, but I was not like, I didn't really have any desire to stay there
Yeah.
because every time I show up, it feels so busy.
Yeah.
But I think that it's just in that main building. So I think that like a resort that I would want to stay at the next time, like if I had a choice of anywhere and it was like free, I would pick to stay at the Polynesian, but not in the main building. I would
Yeah.
pick like a
Yeah, I know we've talked about this a lot because I've always kind of been pro Polynesian, and you've always said like it's so hectic in
It is.
in that main building, and it
but
totally
we
is.
show
It's
up when
crazy.
it's raining. Like we
Yeah,
only go
yeah.
because it's raining in the
That's true.
park. So does everybody else. So
and it does like by design kind of double as an attraction almost. Like it's designed to have
For
like
sure.
foot traffic of people who are not staying at the hotel.
Right.
So you kind of have to bake that in. But yeah, I think the Polynesian is definitely one that would be a great like goal to stay there as well because I think it's super cool.
Mhm.
And we can just use, well, the four of us, you guys don't know about the squad budget trick, but it's just we all split a room.
Yeah.
Which honestly
Find
is
people to go with
like
you.
is
Yeah.
a thing back to the
Yeah.
other one that I forgot to mention. Like for us to go to Disneyland, like I think was always something that's kind of harder for us in terms of like a budget thing
Like,
because
it's
hotels is a
intimidating.
big cost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas all of us are going to split, like it's great.
It is
Honestly,
when we booked the hotel for Disneyland, and we're staying off property.
Yeah.
But when we booked it, I think all four of us were like jaw on the floor.
stunned. Yeah,
Like when we looked at the price per person, it's like what it would cost per night at like a Disney World resort for
Yeah.
some of it. Like it is so
It's crazy.
incredibly cheap.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we love having a squad sleepover. So
Yeah.
Oh, seriously.
Budget trick number 75.
budget
squad
and
sleepover.
friendship trick.
Yeah.
We'll just do a whole episode on our budget stuff. I
Yeah,
think
all
there
of
can be
our
lots of
our squad hacks.
yeah.
Share each other's Dole Whips, share rooms.
Cut cost on food. We share an ice cream.
Yeah. The trick is
Poor
just
ways.
sacrifice personal
except that
space,
except that we buy double the amount of food, so I don't know that we're saving it because
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like doubling the recipe. We just double it.
Brandon and I buy every single theme snack that anywhere has to offer, and then Heidi and I share it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Penultimate question, second to last question. What is your favorite place to eat at Walt Disney World? And I think this can be anywhere.
Good
I
one.
think it can be like you grab something and sit in a location. I'm gonna open this up for total interpretation, I think, because there are a lot of really good options out there.
Bucks get comfy.
We're laughing because
Wow.
yeah, there we
Yeah,
go.
Buck is doing a big old dance behind
Yeah,
us.
I
He's
love it.
feeling left out.
I'm
Do you guys
curious
know
to
yours already?
Well, like I feel like that I'm curious to know Heidi's because
I don't
I
know
feel like
mine.
for me, I feel like I go through waves with food, and I've said this like now so many times where like I'm very quick service focused when we're together, but then when I'm not and I'm like alone or with Haley and Tommy, we kind of have a good mix of a lot of things. So I'm trying to think of like my favorite moments with food that I've had, and it's hard because there are a lot. And I don't know, like if I had to pick a place to go back to, that's kind of what I'm thinking like in my head, because we've been to lots like one time. But I think for me, one that we've lately done a lot in terms of like a sit down is 50s prime time. Like I really do like it there. I just like classic food. I know maybe it's not like the greatest ever, like
I
in
think
people's
it's
opinion,
so good.
but I
I
think
like
it's good.
it. I think
I
it's
like
really
the
good.
vibe.
Me too.
Yeah, like I think that it's a really good one that's kind of become like underrated. And I
Yeah.
don't know if it's because people don't like the vibe. I like eat that up with a spoon. I think
we
it's so funny.
We've been twice, and both times our like
Excellent.
waitress and waiter were like so good and so fun and so nice, and just like really took the time to like chat. And I feel like because of if you don't know, it's like a whole kind of like skit where like they're like your cousin and you're like going to mom's or whatever
Yeah.
for dinner, and like all the time, like they really like almost like if you're inviting of them, they'll like sit down with
They'll
you
do it
and, like,
more and
talk to
stuff,
you
yeah.
get to know you. And
I just think that this is one of those where Disney sometimes with like an experience meal, like a character, like or something else, sometimes like the food quality is not the best. I think that this has a good experience if you're into that vibe and the food is good. I would say the one that I eat at the most is probably like a Woody's Lunchbox because it's just that quick service classic food. But I think if I did have to pick one that I would say right now is like my favorite vibe is a 50s prime time. Like I really do love it a lot. I think it's great.
Yeah, I was gonna say that one too for sit down. The other one I like, but like last time wasn't as good for some reason, was Flame Tree Barbecue. I feel like that's the place when I'm at Animal Kingdom that I'm like, I always want to eat there. And I like how, even though it's busy, like in the one area, if you like go in the back and you can sit, it's like very like chill, other than like the birds that come
Yeah.
around. Like it's kind of like by the water and like nice and quiet. And I always get the same thing and I just like it. So
I also just think that I've had lots of highs. Like with you guys, I had like my really high at Toledo. I loved it so much. So great. I loved those nachos at Yak and Yeti. Like there's a lot of high moments that I've had with more like elevated food. But if I had to pick that one to come back to, like it'd be 50s. But I just think that I wanted to share that I have had a lot of good kind of different experiences over the last couple of years with food.
I think that 50s is getting unwarranted hate on the internet lately.
Agree.
Like every time I turn around, somebody's like talking crap about it and like
Yeah.
saying like not good things. And they're acting like it's like one of those restaurants where they like belittle you and yell at you.
Like
Like, they
Angry Pete's or
just-
whatever those places are
Yeah,
called,
they just like ask you like what color the hand soap was to like make sure you've washed your
Yeah.
hands, and like like give you a hard time about like drinking a milkshake before like you eating your food
Yeah.
or like putting your elbows on the table. Like it's still Disney. Like
Yeah.
I think that people are scaring people who have never been off because of the vibe, but it's fun.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where it was so popular, I don't know, like 10 years ago. It's like the Seinfeld effect or whatever. It was like so popular that now it's like become cool to hate on it a little bit.
Yeah.
But I agree. I think it's like totally effective in its theming and its presentation. And I think the food is actually good.
I
agree.
agree.
Actually good
The
trademark.
fried
actually
chicken
good.
is really good.
Yeah,
it's
really
what I
good.
get every time, and it's really good.
Yeah,
And
like
we've gotten like the meatloaf. We've gotten the
theme park meatloaf has no business
I
being
get
that
the
good.
roast.
no, all of it is good.
The
And
roast
like we
is
talk
good.
about this, I
Yeah.
feel like anytime we talk about food, like it's hard to find a fresh vegetable, and there you'll get one,
Yeah,
and it's
some
good.
green beans. Yeah, can't
It's
beat
great.
that.
Yeah, this one is hard for me to answer because, like Brandon said, like I don't know that I necessarily have like a favorite place. I have favorite dishes because everything serves like a different purpose.
Agree.
Yeah.
Because like Steakhouse 71
Mm.
has my favorite breakfast on all of property. Like Walt's Hash there, I would go every single time, but I don't know. Like I don't think I would ever think of Steakhouse 71 as my favorite restaurant on property.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we've talked about last time that we love Skipper Canteen,
Yeah.
but sometimes like you're not in the mood for Skipper Canteen. And so I think that like it depends on it. And so with all of that, I think that I have to classify Nomad Lounge as
Good
my
one.
Yeah,
favorite
I was going to mention that if you didn't. Yeah.
because I think that the vibes are high, the drinks are good, the mocktails are good, the food is good, the food is interesting, it has something for everyone, and it can be quick.
Yeah, and the flotillas come by. You get to
Yeah.
dance around.
Yeah,
or see
around Christmas,
Santa,
you
or
see Santa.
Launchpad.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, so that one's mine, I think.
yeah. I think one of my favorite restaurants, and I've only been there twice. We've only been there twice, but both experiences have been like knockout, like out of the park. Good in my opinion. I really like Sanaa. I think that the food and the sort of vibe is really great. It's a little crowded, like it's a little cramped for me
Mhm.
sometimes. But the first time we went, it was awesome. Like first exposure to the bread service, it was a life-changing experience. And then we went back recently, when I guess like
With
a
your
year ago now,
parents?
with my parents, and like during the day, so you could really see the animals, and there's like zebras walking up. But yeah, you plant me in front of some bread service with a Tusker lager,
Yeah.
and yeah, I get to look at the
Right.
animals while I eat. That's hard to beat for me.
That's not where I thought you were going.
Where do you think I was going?
Yak and Yeti.
Yeah, I like the yak and yeti a lot, but it's like one dish because I like
Those
the vibes
poke
in that fine. But
nachos?
yeah, it's just the nachos.
They're so
yeah.
good though.
That's, I think, kind of what Disney food has become for me. Like you said, Haley, where there are so many places where I love one item that I will always want to go back for, but some places we we just don't go back for. Like those nachos, I would love those, but we just don't go back there. So like I think that there are just places where you maybe go because it's like convenient or it's like a staple, but like Disney does have a lot of places where they have like really good singular dishes.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's
Well, that's what like Heidi's Flame Tree Barbecue, because that's what we used to also do, Flame Tree Barbecue. But
Mhm.
now we found the little cart when you're entering Asia.
5 Spoon.
Yeah, 5 Spoon
Right.
Cafe has the same dishes, just put kind of in different combinations.
Mm.
And so I think we
Right.
end up going there more often because I think they're a little bit less expensive for like the same vibe of food.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like you don't have to wait in that line. It's not, because I think that Flame Tree is, when you walk into Animal Kingdom, it is busy
the
because
one.
if you're hungry, that is like where you see and what you smell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think that like, I don't know. I don't think you can go wrong. I think that this is like a very pro Disney podcast today where like everything we're like, you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong. Stay anywhere, eat anywhere. But I really do think that you can find something everywhere.
Yeah, the real best place to eat in Walt Disney World is Hubgrass with
Yeah.
Hell Waffles and the
Oh.
rest of the squad. That's
Oh,
my
yeah.
real favorite place to eat
It's
in Walt
true.
Disney World.
I love it. A sentimenty answer.
Yeah, sentimenty. Getting a little sentimenty with our final question as well. What did you do on your first Disney trip together? Where did you stay, eat, etc.? I think this might even be fun if we did like together,
And then together.
and together.
Oh, yeah.
I did a bunch of hand
I like
motions if
it.
you're listening, but I was thinking couple, and then the squad. the
I
full
like
list.
it.
That's good. Yeah.
That's good.
You guys can start first
Yeah.
if you want.
Kick it off.
I don't even know when our first one was.
2017, I think, spring of 2017. I would say I was a sophomore in college, I believe.
Because the one that sticks out in my brain as the first one is when we went Halloween.
Yeah, I think that was the following fall.
Okay.
But But I mean, like, we can lump them together. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, because
it's
I
ancient
mean,
history at this
it
point.
is
anyway.
at this point. It's like nearly 10 years ago we've been going together, which is crazy to think about. That it's like almost a decade of going to Disney together.
Yeah.
And
That's
so I
cool.
think that we were never, like I said earlier, we did not stay on property
No.
the first couple times. And I will say it's because we are lucky. My mom is like has a timeshare at the Hilton, and so if we go by ourselves, we pay her for like the cleaning fee, and then it's free.
Yeah.
And they used to have free transportation to the parks, so it was huge for the two of us making sandwiches in line. It was definitely a giant like cost saver. But no, the first couple times we went, the ones that stand out to me, like I said, it was when we went for Halloween, which was the second time I think technically, but it was the one that like really sticks in my brain because we dressed up. I guess it was like a bound because we didn't go to the party, so we couldn't actually dress up.
We were at Epcot. Yeah. It was a bound. Yeah.
And so I was Ariel and he was Prince Eric. And that's the one that's in my brain.
Yeah.
Do you remember the first trip?
A little bit. I think it was Flower and Garden. So we did a ton of food booths at Epcot. But also, I think it's hard to remember some of those trips because we were so like ride. So a lot of those trips is just kind of waiting in line and then riding the rides, which I'm glad we got that out of the way when we were younger and got like a ton of like really good experiences on all of the rides and never like feel a strong need to do them now because we did put in those hours early in the start. But I know we did a lot of riding. We were kind of ride. Hardos where that's kind of all we
that's
do.
all we
run
did
from line to line and
we
stuff
didn't
like that.
meet like a single character.
No,
we didn't
do
eat at a
characters.
single restaurant.
We didn't do sit down. Yeah. So we didn't really take pictures like that. So it was a lot of that. The first few, I don't think were very
no, if you
eventful,
looked at us because we
just
weren't
waiting in queues, just sweating in queues. And we went to a dessert party. I don't know if that was the first year. Though.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, I guess it wouldn't have been.
I grew up like a Disney World kid. We went like almost every year because my grandma lived in Orlando. So we would kind of like do that. My mom brought me every year, but like we weren't like Disney adults the way we are now. Like if you would have told us like 8 years ago on our first trip or whatever, that we would have a podcast that's based around Disney with like best friends that we met by starting a YouTube channel about Disney, I would have told you you've lost your mind.
Even if you told me that I had like a personal ranking of like the best bathrooms on property, I was like, what are you talking about?
And so I think that like it is hard to remember those because we were just totally different people.
Yeah. Like we said, it was a while ago. It feels like a different lifetime sometimes, but no, I think it was a lot of just kind of running around, riding all the different rides, stuff like that
and we were going to Universal at that time too, because we didn't have annual pass, so the cost was about the same. And Universal was giving a lot of discounts out. So that was a way that we budgeted and still got to go to theme parks. So I think we ended up, when we would go for like 5 days, we'd spend 3 of them at Universal because they would give us a free day of ticket. And then we'd spend like 2 or 3 days at Disney doing everything.
Yeah, everything. What did we do the first trip? We waited in 4 hours for Flight of Passage. Is what we did.
I don't think that was the first one, but that one was.
It was early. I honestly think it might have been.
Really?
Yeah, because it opened I think like late 2016, early 17. Maybe it was the following.
Yeah,
year,
you weren't even 21 the first time we went.
No.
Wow.
A little baby.
Baby.
But what about you? When was the first time you guys went together?
You want to go ahead? Go for it.
Was it in 2019 though?
Yeah.
I don't remember the years. The years passed me, but
we had known each other for mere months. It was like we met working together. We then started dating and
we were supposed to go on a trip like even earlier
in like August, 2 months after we started dating.
Yeah, we had a trip booked.
But then there was some issues with like the weather, like a hurricane or something. And then we had to move it to November. And that was our first time, 2019.
That was our first time, 2019. The background is that like Brandon like really like Disney a lot. He had like all the collectibles and stuff. Well, I feel like that is like how you describe it.
Because
like,
I'm stunned by this as well. Like how Haley said this. Like if you would have told us that we would have went to Disney almost every year since being together, have a Disney YouTube channel and a podcast with people that we met online, you would think that there's no possible way. That's wild. So I think that for me, this trip really stands out as one where I feel like that I got to see Heidi's like love of Disney come true, like in person, which is like very weird to say, but I think that it was like, I had went the year before with my parents and sister. You hadn't been since like high school.
Yeah. Like I had
and probably didn't do everything. So
I barely did anything. When I think about that high school trip, like we were only there for a few days and I don't even remember what I did do. Like, Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember like two things that I did.
Yeah.
So it was like this time was new, fresh. It was all like I saw Pandora for the first time and like everything I actually remembered.
Yeah.
But it was also funny because in the same way, it's like when I look back at like vlogs and stuff, I'm like wearing like
Oh, I was just
sweatpants
gonna
and a
say that.
Levi shirt, like
Yeah.
not even Disney. Like, where is this girl going? Like,
Or we wore the
hello?
Hakuna Matata.
That's how you know. That's how you know it's early days.
Which
I
now-
love that.
now
Well, that's
there's-
what he gives me so much
Oh yeah,
guff
this
all
is
the
amazing.
time.
Yeah,
because I think 2016.
it was it was later than that. It was the
2017.
first because we were waiting in line for the bus. We stayed on. It was like 2018.
It might have been actually, now we've named every year since then, but it might have been 2019 because we were almost at Disney in overlapping
I was going to
times.
say that. Yeah, I was going to
That's
say we were like
true.
a week and a half. apart
Not
or something like
even,
that.
I don't
thought it was
think.
like 10 days, but maybe
It was
not.
quick. Yeah. Yeah.
But I had a shirt that said, "I'm done adulting, like let's go to Disney" or whatever. And I don't know, probably at least once a month. He goes, "Are you done adulting? Let's go to Disney." I'm like, "Can you leave me alone?" Like it was with the times.
It's so
Yeah,
funny.
Like it was on trend for like leaving. I would literally leave my teaching job, go to the airport. So I put that shirt on, and he just gives me so much crap.
No,
for
I
it.
didn't think anything of it at the time, but looking back, it's one of those things where you look at old pictures of yourself and
It's
be
like
oh,
blue eyeshadow
yeah, what were
and
we doing?
gaucho
What were we
pants.
doing back then? But
We also wore the dumb Ducky and Bunny shirts from the Disney store that say Team
Team
Awesome and
Awesome.
went to Toy Story Land.
I know, and we bought those full price from the Disney store. Oh my goodness.
like $24.99
What
per
were
shirt or
we
something.
doing?
You have to keep those for future children.
Yeah, like, and I also bought that Spirit jersey from the Christmas party that was like $100, and it looks like I have like an elf sweater on.
I like that one. It's
You
the
like that one?
pajama one with the fake 3 buttons.
Yes. But I think I just look silly in it, like a big toddler. It just is
It
not
is
me.
definitely, yeah, it's definitely looks, it gives pajamas a little bit.
Yes.
But also
It's
I-
stuff that we would definitely not buy now, I
No.
don't think.
But also I also just like love like when I think about it's like so many good memories because like Brandon said it was like the start that like I was like, oh, I love Disney, and I feel like it was just so like pure. Like I didn't know what to expect.
Very pure. I was gonna
I
say.
literally didn't even know what was happening. Like I was just there and like happy to be there and like not worried about like getting things done
No.
or like seeing certain things, or I was just like there
We
and
did a
very
lot.
like in the present moment,
Yeah,
which
we-
is like so cool.
We stayed at All Star Movies in the Love Bug
And
area.
we
How
thought it was the
fitting.
best.
We're like, oh wow.
We're like, this is the best.
But then also,
So
yeah, like it was just all.
romantic.
Yeah, seriously, like it was all
We
those
should have
little moments.
proposed.
Yeah.
On a Furby, yeah.
Wow.
2 months in.
2 months in, wow. When I saw that she loved like Tower of Terror, she's the one for sure.
No, I mean when you proposed.
Yeah, brought her back.
Oh.
That's
Who
where it all
needs-
started.
Who needs Animal Kingdom Lodge? We'll stay at Herbie the Love Bug.
Yeah.
I thought you meant that trip. How crazy!
No, that would have been crazy.
That would have
That would've
been.
been-
Heidi would have said
It
no.
was no, sir.
Should have.
You
So
would have
I
heard
really
that.
know you.
Yeah, but I just think that it was so cool to see you, like I said, experience everything, which I love. Like I loved this past year when my mom and sister, like an aunt, came and got to see new stuff. I think like it was this trip was that amplified for me, and we just like did a lot of stuff. And like you said, like I think that it was just one of those things where we were having like a great time together, and we also got to do like a lot of cool stuff. Like the Christmas party was fun. I met like the Genie and Nick and Judy was cool. We did all of like the new stuff. I just think that it was a really fun like trip, and I think that it's what kind of led to all this, because if we didn't do that trip, we would have never really had this big amplified love. Well, I guess
And you
would
guys
have.
vlogged that trip.
We
Yeah.
did as like a little extra fun.
Yeah,
we're
which
like,
was also cool. I feel like that was really the start of our channel because we were like, well, we'll vlog it for our memories because both of us, like, I used to like kind of sometimes vlog and stuff like when I raced and stuff, like just random
and I always
stuff.
wanted to.
And you always wanted to. So then we were like, well, let's just like do it for jokes.
and
and
then we
then we
threw it
did
up
it.
on YouTube, and we're like,
And then
Okay.
that's like
And
how
then we
it
found
started.
you guys through that because I remember you guys got a free ice cream or something.
yeah,
Free Dole Whip.
free Dole.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I remember watching you guys were at a table and Heidi came back and was like, "We got this for free."
Magic.
No, that's hilarious. Yeah, that happened. That's so funny. So
I love it.
magical moment,
And then I guess our one now together, which was also fun.
which is like one of my favorite memories.
Yeah, was like the holiday Christmas trip when we didn't
Yeah.
like stay together, but
No.
that was our first time that we met and did the parks ever together.
But that's what I was gonna say. Like this upcoming trip is the first trip that we'll have planned together.
Yes.
But we've been to Disney together on like all of our last like
Yeah.
what 2 trips.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because even Brandon and I were talking this today. I'm like, I haven't seen Haley and Tommy in like, we were gonna say it's gonna be 2 years, but I'm
Since
like,
you've
No.
seen them.
Yeah, 2
since
years
I've
ago.
seen
He
them.
told me that the other day. I said, no way. Like, I've seen Heidi since then. He's like,
No.
no, you
It
haven't.
was like
I
June of
know.
2022, I think it was.
Which is crazy because I just feel like since we talk all the time and stuff, and since you guys I think hung out with Brandon like on his program, I felt like I was there even though I wasn't because I watched
Yep.
the vlogs and stuff, so I like knew what was going on and like FaceTime
Yeah.
and stuff. But I'm like, that's insane. Like,
Well-
I can't-
Well, and I think like we went through the first like however many years of our like friendship never having met ever.
yeah,
And so I think that like the distance doesn't seem like this is kind of like the status quo of our
The
friendship
norm.
is like
Yeah.
virtual. And so
Mhm.
like in person obviously is better, but
Yeah.
it doesn't feel like a huge absence. Like it doesn't feel like that long.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it was, I mean, like, I don't know, 21 months or something like that before we met in person, I think. I don't know. I might be
Yeah, that's
overstating a little bit, but
crazy.
it was long. It was a long
It was
time.
long.
But yeah, we met in person and Tommy and I were already at Animal Kingdom waiting for them to show up.
Yeah.
And then
Mhm.
we look up and they're walking down. We'd never seen them before, but like we saw them up there and it was like the best moment ever.
Yeah.
and we just like we're like, oh, hug,
And then we got our little buttons and we
Mhm.
did the whole
It
thing.
was so fun.
Our DB trip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we also went for Christmas Day, which was fun. Like that was like a cool thing because I was
was that the same trip?
same
I
trip.
always get
Yeah.
confused about that. That's
Because I was
crazy.
gonna say this, which is like a little plug for the future episode. All of like the memories on my draft board that I picked, like you guys have been there for all of those memories. Like, and that's why that I picked them because they're memories that I think are very like all of us like focus, and it's just so cool to see like all of those things. Like we got engaged and they were there after. We like I became a cast member and they were there that weekend after. It's just I feel like all of the big things are just all of us together, like in those kind of memories, which is so cool. It's very awesome.
You can't get rid of us.
No, well, and that's
Wherever.
what I was actually going to say. Like, I feel like whenever we're in Disney by ourselves, like, we just assume that, like, anytime we vlog, we assume everyone watching knows Brandon and Heidi because they usually do. Like, it's like a package deal now.
Yeah.
And so I feel like I end up being like, oh, Brandon, blah, 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 blah. Even though, like, he's never been introduced in the video, or like, oh, Heidi likes to do this. Like, this is her favorite snack. Like, I think that it's just like Disney and then Brandon and Heidi. Like, it's just all
Yeah.
together.
Yeah, it's just like, and then we had our little Pop Century sleepover. They drove us to the airport thinking that we're going to test positive for COVID.
Thinking
We
that
had a
I
whole-
gave them COVID.
Yeah. we
I
had a
came
whole
home the
plan.
next day, was so sick. I was terrified that I thank goodness it wasn't COVID. But I was like, oh my God, I'm going to have given them COVID and then keep
Cause-
them from their country.
Caused an international incident. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just honestly so cool how we've grown our friendship like in this way, but then also every time that we meet together in person is just like so awesome because it feels like I think that sometimes there could be a moment where it's like an awkward thing, but like there's never with us ever.
No.
Which is awesome.
Yeah, I think that that's like, it's hard to like really explain.
Yes.
Because I don't know, like, I mean, we don't really have any like other like internet friends like that we like know exclusively from there. But like even people that like you just text more than you see, like people that you've been friends with forever.
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes it is like awkward. Like you feel like you like, but like there's never a moment where I don't feel like I know you guys all the way.
Oh, for sure.
You know, even though we don't like always talk in our
Yep.
day to day, like at least once a week, and now we're doing this. And
Yeah.
I think that I don't know. I'm just, it was so like the first trip, just I think it like solidified that like this is like it's
For
like
sure.
a like soul friends.
Mhm.
I was
yeah.
gonna say soulmates. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna be
we're soulmates, guys.
we're gonna be 80 staying at the Grand Floridian one day. and
Yeah,
we're-
right. We're gonna be 80 staying at Pop Century. Who are you joking?
I was gonna say we'll be on the Skyliner, all of my cane going on, trying to get on. It'll be great.
But we can answer this question also more thoroughly when we get back from Disneyland because it'll be our first planned trip together.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then we can, our first planned trip. Then we can answer what our most recent trip will have been like.
Love it.
In the aftermath of that.
Yeah. See how staying together as a squad pod.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe Disneyland is it. It's a straw too far. That's what.
Oh no.
What's up? Yeah.
Now I'm nervous.
We can do like, you know how like those influencers will do like clickbaity titles.
Yeah,
Like, squad pod breaks up
Yeah.
after 10 days in Disneyland.
End of the squad? Question mark. Yeah. We'll have to write that down.
Yeah.
Put it in big red
Yeah.
font with yellow outlines.
Forget that we ever
a
said this.
callback. Yeah.
If you heard this, no, you didn't.
Oh, those were good questions.
Yeah, that was
a
a
lot.
lot.
They were-
Thank you, everyone, for sending in your questions. Keep
Yeah.
sending them on in.
Oh, yeah.
We'll kind of compile them, and then
Mhm.
whenever we have enough to do one of these episodes, we'll read through them. If you have any questions now, please send them in. If any of our answers made you think of another question,
Yeah.
like now, if you want to
Or
know
you
why
want-
Brandon and I hate the old rides so much, send in that question. We'll answer for our crimes.
Yeah, if you want us to delve into anything deeper than we
Yeah,
did as well,
sure.
we can do that too. We
For sure.
really, we're here for us, but we're also here for you. Like
Yeah.
we do this so that we get to hang out and like express our interests, but like we want to know what you want to hear.
Absolutely. And if you do want to submit a question, you can find us at the Park Squad Pod on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and YouTube and Instagram. You can pretty much anywhere you can leave a comment or a message or anything like that. Feel free to send in one of those questions, and we'll put them all together in a master list. At any of those locations, like I said, at the Park Squad Pod, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Instagram. Look forward to hearing everyone. Thanks for hanging out and sending in your questions, and see you till next time.
Bye.
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 Bye.